and gentlemen, and welcome to Fight for Our Freedom Radio. And I'm your host, Badbaby. And tonight we are so honored to have psychic Echo Bodine with us, and we are going to talk about life after death. Hi, Echo. Welcome to the show. How are you this evening?
Oh, I'm really good. Believe it or not, it is really warm in Minneapolis tonight. So that's what we're all complaining about. It's like 93 degrees, and it's just kind of early for that.
93?
Honey. I mean, nobody can believe it. It's like, whoa, it's hot today. But it's supposed to be back in the 70s tomorrow. What part of the country are you in?
I'm in Michigan, and we're in the 40s.
40s?
Yeah.
Well, isn't that something? I'll be darned.
I said it's 90. You're just a few states over from me, and actually in the northern hemisphere.
Yep, you're right. I wonder if this stuff is coming to you next, because it's hot. Whew.
Wow. In April.
Yeah,
I know. You'll have to tune into some of my shows about Planet X, and maybe that'll explain what's going on.
Oh my.
Yeah, I have a lot of guests that I've interviewed that actually have military contact and inside information, and very, very creditable people.
Oh, wow. Oh, man, I bet those are
the
fascinating.
strange weather we're going through right now has to do with this planetary object that's coming towards our planet.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, it's pretty bizarre. But
so you can enlighten me, and I can enlighten you.
Okay, sounds good to me.
I had listened to quite a few of your recordings today, and I know that you have really read the Bible through and through.
Yep.
And did a lot of research about what the Bible says about being spiritual and psychic. And the reason I contacted you is because I am under attack from a bunch of people, Christian people that I know, that are saying that I am going to burn in hell because I have psychic communication with my deceased husband.
Oh, God. And where do these so-called Christians get their information?
Well, they are telling me that the Bible says that it's wrong to go to psychics or have communication with the other side, the dead people. And it's not my husband, even though he has been in contact with me for 14 years, and everything he has told me has been positive, protected me from being killed in an accident. He sent me to get a dog. When my dog died, he sent me to a dog in the dog pound. And he told me that the Lord was going to give me a dog. It was going to be a boy. It was going to not be a puppy. It was going to be a boy Doberman, not a puppy, but not full grown. And I said, well, I know Dobermans go for like $2,500, and I didn't have no money. And I was like, where am I going to find this dog? I don't have any money. And he said, I want you to Google Doberman Rescue. I did, and it came right up at our dog pound. I went in there. He was 8 months old, not a puppy, not full grown.
Okay.
How can he be a demon if he's given me all this guidance?
I would really like it if one of these, again, I'm going to say so-called Christians, because I don't know what Bible they're reading, but first of all, the word psychic is not in the Bible, okay? And that's, a lot of people think because of these so-called Christians that start spouting off about the Bible says, the Bible says, the Bible says. The word psychic is nowhere in the Bible unless it is a newly printed edition, and I think some of the religions have put the word psychic in it, but the original Bibles, what the original Bible said, and this is in the Old Testament, and so what the Old Testament says is that we have to watch out for false prophets. Well, I totally agree. We have to watch out for false anything in any profession out there, lawyers, attorneys, the clergy, honey, in every profession there are so-called false people claiming to be able to do more than they can. So, okay, so there's that. But the Bible, if they ever get into the New Testament, and yes, I'm being extremely sarcastic because after listening to this crap for 50 years from people, again, so-called Christians, it just gets really annoying that it's time to get out of the Old Testament, folks. It's time to get into the New Testament. There's this guy called Jesus, and he came to talk to us about our gifts and to teach us about our gifts and to tell us what our potential is as children of God. And in Corinthians, it talks about 9 gifts of the Spirit. And I'm talking about the Holy Spirit. I'm not talking about some ghost. I'm not talking about some stupid spirit out there. I'm talking about the Holy Spirit gave people 9 different gifts. These gifts only come from the Holy Spirit. And when these folks do get to Corinthians 12:14, they will see that the gift of prophecy is listed, and it also says at the end of the list that of all of the gifts of the Spirit, the gift of prophecy is the best gift to have because it helps people, okay? Jesus taught the disciples how to develop their psychic abilities. He taught them how to heal people. And I would like to ask these so-called Christians, if Jesus came today and Jesus used his gift of prophecy and Jesus used his gift of healing, would they say that he talks to the demons, that he's demonic, that he's going to hell, that he works for Satan? They probably would. And that's the part that is so annoying, is that these people love to focus on Satan. They love it. It's dramatic. It conjures up all kinds of images and negative images, I might add. Enough with Satan, okay? Why are people so focused on Satan? Why aren't they focusing on God? People give so much credit to Satan and very little credit to God. And those are the Christians that drive me nuts. They are not true Christians. If they were true Christians, they would not be making judgments. They would certainly not be speaking against the gifts of the Spirit. They would stop focusing on Satan, and they would start focusing on God, and they would get their shit together. And I'm sorry for swearing, but as you can see, this stuff has finally just pushed every button I've got, and I'm tired of it. I'm really tired of it. These people wagging this crap in our faces, telling us that we're wrong for using the gifts that God gave us. We're wrong? That's so contradictory to me, to call yourself a Christian and then go out and judge people and bring up Satan and talk about demons and then put down people who have the gift of prophecy. There's nothing Christian about that. And if anybody wants to argue with me about that, hey, pick up the phone and call, because I would love to take you on. I would love it. So there, as you can see, honey, I've got opinions about it. And
well, I know you're familiar with PMH, and I have had PMH on several times, and I agree with her that when you pass over, there are different levels that you go to.
Yes.
And I understand that if you were a bad person, obviously you're not going to advance to the top level because you're not going to be good enough to be around those that have been good enough to go to the top level.
Right.
I believe that if you aren't cutting it, that you have to come back and go to school again and learn to learn whatever you didn't learn.
Sure. Yeah, I agree. Earth is our school, and this is where we come to grow and to develop ourselves to our highest potential. And, you know, we have every possible experience here and available to us. So, yeah, Earth is a great place to come when we want to grow spiritually.
Well, I'll give you a perfect example.
Okay.
My brother passed away, and he wasn't the best guy on the world. He did a lot of bad things, and I was all freaked out. Oh my God, he's going to go to hell, and and I'm out there praying at his coffin, Lord, show him mercy. And then I was thinking, driving home, how can he put him in hell when even though he did bad things to me, I still love him.
Right. Yeah.
And I thought, if God's supposed to be so all loving,
yeah.
why would he not still love him too?
Right. Exactly, honey. Exactly. Yeah. Okay. There's lots of people that have done bad things, and lots of people in heaven that have done bad things. But you know what? When they do their life review, they see these things, and they see that they need to change their behavior. And God, at least the God that I have come to know, is extremely loving, extremely compassionate, understands why we do some of the mean things that we do. I shouldn't say some. He probably understands all of the things that we do, and isn't passing judgment like we do here on earth. Okay, so your brother, he was not a nice guy, but there's a reason for that. He probably had lots of reasons. He probably had a lot of fear. He had a lot of anger. He had a lot of mistrust. And so that came out in his behavior to others. And that's how God looks at it, as, okay, this was his beginning, and he didn't heal his stuff, and then he acted out towards other people. So it's like the God that I've come to know is extremely loving, extremely understanding, doesn't sit in judgment like a lot of the Christians believe. No, it's like when you set down the Bible and you really get to know God, really go inside and really meditate and pray on it, and just say, God, reveal yourself to me. Show me what you are, who you are. I mean, we find a very loving God. And so your brother, okay, so he went to heaven and he didn't have such, maybe didn't have such a good reputation here on earth, but when he got over there, he's probably gotten lots of help by now. And that's the other thing. The guides that I work with say that there is definitely not a hell. There is not a place where people go to burn until eternity. It's just not like that. Human beings have created this whole idea of hell to keep us in line, okay? And it does keep a lot of people in line. A lot of people are afraid if they are a bad person, then they're going to end up in hell. Well, okay, they can go ahead and believe that if they want, but like the guides have said to me, God is such a loving God that God would never, ever create a place where he would send anyone to hell. We're all held accountable for our actions, all of us. And if we hurt others, okay, we have to make amends in some way. Everything has to balance out with karma, with nastiness we do to people, and also good stuff that we do to people. It all balances out. So, no, sweetie, you know what? You're right. Okay, so maybe your brother wasn't such a good guy, but that does not mean he's going to rot in hell. God certainly is going to give him a lot more chances to become a nice guy. It's just we all get lots of chances to change our behavior and become nice people. Sorry,
well,
my answer.
When my brother first passed, he came to me with my husband, 2 or 3 times, and then my husband came a few times without him, and I asked my husband, and this was way before I had PMH on the show, I asked my husband, I said, why doesn't he come with you all the time?
Uh-huh.
And he said he's not on the same level as me.
Okay.
And he said he has to go to school to be taught things.
Okay. And that, honey, that could be very true. You know, there's school on the other side just as there is here. And it's very true. They could be on different levels, and they could live in different communities. So that is very possible. Yeah.
I have to get a laugh right now because the person who told me that my husband was a demon was on the phone and just left.
Oh, okay. All right.
Oh, but actually what they told me is that I have to quit talking to him and that I need to pray and find out who he really is.
Oh, honey, let it go. Don't even give those people any power because they don't know what they're talking about. They really don't. First of all, they're not even interpreting the Bible accurately, and I'm sure that's going to drive them nuts that I just said that. But you know what? They have no right, first of all.
Well, you know how I felt? So I felt like, first of all, I felt insulted that they would call my husband's spirit a demon. And
yes.
Second of all, I felt like they were trying to force me backwards in my spiritual plight.
Yeah, probably are because, I don't know, again, if they're talking demons, that's the mindset that they have. It's all about negativity, There's nothing loving in there that they're saying, and they're trying to steer you, and they have no right to steer you in any direction. Really, as long as it's negative, they have no right to make any judgments at all. And yes, souls do live after life. We go to heaven, but we can come here and visit our loved ones. We can communicate with our loved ones, and there's a line in the Bible about leave the dead. I can't remember the exact quote that it is, but it's like, don't communicate with the dead, leave the dead where the dead are. But, honey, all that means is don't go sit in a cemetery and talk to the dead. They're not there anymore. The soul has moved out of the body and has gone on to the other side. So, okay, that's what the Bible is saying, but people have interpreted it to say, oh, you can't talk to the dead. It says that in the Bible. No, it's talking about the dead body. Don't go sit and talk to the dead body because they are not there. The soul has moved on to heaven. So again, what I want to say to you is don't listen to these people. They don't know what they're talking about. They obviously belong to some very rigid religion. And honey, if you're going to be a teacher, if you're going to have this radio show and you're going to teach people about the goodness and about the light and about spirituality, you can't hang out with people that are determined to hang on to all the negativity. You don't need it. It's like they're going to pull you back. They're going to hold you down. Fine. If they want to live that way, that's fine. But you don't need it. You need to just spread your wings and fly. Fly away.
That's what I did.
Good.
What I did. I thought, how sad for them that they are limiting themselves from knowing the whole picture.
That's right.
And in my perspective from it, I just feel like I am more graduated, more developed in understanding how it all works.
Mhm. Mhm.
And they got blinders on and their mindset into I don't know what, but it's just very hurtful for me. And I prayed about it. I said, Lord, how do I address this? And it was so weird. The day that I prayed about it, I went into YouTube and I found your YouTube video about the Bible.
Good, honey. Good.
And I was like, well, I'm going to write her and ask her to come on the show because I need someone to help me try to explain how this works. Now, I know that you did not have an outer body experience. I've had several people on that have, but you didn't have an NDE, but you did have an outer body experience. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, honey, it was really pretty amazing. My brother and I have been clearing homes of unwanted ghosts for many, many years. And one night it was Holy Week, actually, the night before Palm Sunday, and we had gone on a ghost busting job. And the next morning when I got up, I was going to go to church, but then I just stopped and I thought, you know what, I just want to go out in my garden and talk to God for a while. And so I did, and I asked him, I said, we send these ghosts over to the other side all the time. And I said, I would love to have more information about the other side. Because, when I've done psychic readings, I've seen bits and pieces of heaven over the years. But I wanted a more concise I don't know, just a whole bunch more information that I could say to these ghosts. This is what heaven is like. And I said, if I'm not ready to have more information yet, then please get me ready. And I said, I'm not going to bug you anymore. That's the only time I'll ask you. I just would like more information. Okay. So, and what's also interesting is that I didn't tell anybody about this prayer. And I just went on with my morning. And about 4 days later, all of a sudden, my office started, I had just finished my last healing of the day, and my office started to light up in white light. And I thought, oh my gosh, what is going on here? And I saw this spirit standing in front of me, and it said, come on, let's go. And I thought, all I could see was the back of her head, and I thought, who is this? And a voice said, have your friend get you upstairs in the living room and call your brother right away. And so I asked my client if he'd help me get up the stairs, because my body was getting like a rag doll. And that's what happens when our soul comes out of our body, is that our body just looks like a rag doll. And, excuse me, I wasn't really thinking, though. I wasn't thinking, okay, is my soul coming out? I didn't really know what was going on. And I had my client call my brother, and my brother, psychic brother, walks in the door about 10, 15 minutes later, and he says, he looks at my client, and he says, now, don't worry about her. 3 days ago, she asked God if she could have more information about the other side, and God is letting her go to the other side. And he said, I'm going to sit and hold her hand and ground her body. And he said, and then he looked at me and he said, go ahead, sis. And right when he said that, this woman spirit in front of me turned around, and I realized it was my own soul. And she said to me, let's go. And right then, I was gone. And I went into the tunnel where all these folks were, waiting for their deceased loved ones to come. And I was just like, holy smokes, what is this? And then I just kept moving, and I came up to the white light, and I saw it, and it was amazing, big, beautiful white light. And then, poof, I just went right through it. And on the other side of the light was my grandma. And I hadn't seen my grandma since I was 14. And my grandma said, she said to her friend, she said, this is my granddaughter, Echo. And her friend said, oh, my goodness, you didn't tell me she was dying today. And my grandma said, no, she's not dying. She's visiting. And I'm thinking, am I making this all up? And right then, an angel floated up to me, and she said, I'm going to take you on a tour. We don't have a lot of time. This is hard on your body, because when the soul is out of the body, the soul is like a battery for the body. And when you take the soul out of the body completely, like mine was, then the body is just running on very, very little energy. And so then we just started floating, and she took me over by a hospital, and she showed me, God, it was an enormous hospital. And I remember thinking, and that's what was cool too, was I would have a thought, and she would send a thought back to me. So we never actually talked out loud. Everything was a thought. And so I thought to myself, I wonder why they have a hospital here. And into my head came the thoughts, because a lot of people on Earth need help when they get here. And she said the whole second floor was for suicide victims. And she said, she showed me the second floor, and I saw all these beds, and there was a caregiver on each bed. And I just stood there, just in awe of what was going on. And then she said up on the 8th floor is where people go who have had like amputees or people who have had physical handicaps their whole life. And she said up on the 8th floor, they learn how that their soul is whole and they don't have to think of themselves as an amputee anymore. And she says, it takes some people time to get used to not being handicapped anymore. And then she said, come on, let's go. And we just kept going. We just kept floating to different places. There was a building. It was gorgeous, and it looked like all white marble, and all these angels were going in and out of the windows and the doors. And she said that these are the angels that work with people here on earth, and they were really happy. And I remember just standing there watching them all because they were so happy about being busy and helping people on earth, and it was real clear that through her thoughts, it was like the angels don't interfere in people's lives, but they are there to help whenever we ask them for help. So that was really cool. Then she took me to this place that was, oh my gosh, it was so beautiful, and okay, so I'm standing up at this hill, on the top of this hill with the angel, and I looked down into this city, and it looked to me like Jesus. And I remember just standing there staring at this man who was talking to this huge crowd of people. And I had the thought that, wow, that looks like Jesus. And I had the thought, oh, I wish I could get closer. And just with that thought, we moved closer, and I looked right at him, and I was just in awe because I knew it was Jesus. And I had the thought, I just thought, I wonder what he's doing. And the angel said he continues to teach until everyone gets his message. And oh gosh, you guys, it was so cool. The place itself was gorgeous, and the colors in heaven are very vibrant, and so there was just greenery everywhere. And
I have a question.
Yeah.
Did you smell flowers, roses, and things like that?
That's a good question, honey, because there were flowers everywhere in heaven, and yet I don't know if I smelled them, to tell you the truth. But I know that my grandma has brought me bouquets of flowers from the other side, and I can always smell them. So they must have a smell to them.
Yes. Well, when I watched your videos today, you said that some people, when they die, they are afraid to cross over because they're afraid that what they did, they will go to hell, and you help them cross because you let them know that there is no hell over there.
Right, honey. Yeah.
And my husband, he didn't want to die. I mean, the week that he was dying, he kept telling me, don't be afraid to stay in this house. I'm going to stay here and watch over you and protect you, and we will communicate. And, he was very concerned about leaving me. And when he communicated with me one time after he died, he said to me that he was walking with Jesus in the garden, and he knows I love roses. And he said, you aren't going to believe what the roses look like here.
Aww.
And I told the Lord, he said he had to have a talk with me. He told me that I had to come with him. And I told him I couldn't come with him because I was too concerned about what was going to happen to you. And he promised me that you would be okay.
Aww.
And he goes, going with him because he's promised.
See, that's a great story. Great story. And I totally believe it.
Oh, and you know what? And I don't worry. I don't worry about what's going to happen, even when things look bad, because I always know in my heart that I'm going to be okay because I know Jesus told him that. That's
so nice. And I totally believe it. Totally.
So was he, because I do feel he may have been earthbound because he kicked the flowers at his funeral.
Oh, did he? Well, honey,
There was an old boyfriend of mine that my husband didn't like that came to the funeral.
Okay.
And he brought these big, huge flowers. They were so big they couldn't sit on any table. So the funeral director put them on the floor at the end of his casket. And this idiot, he comes up to me. I'm standing by the book, and he says, "I'm not going to stay for the services." Then he tries to kiss me. Then he tells me, "Let's get together after all this crap's over."
Oh, my God.
I just looked at him like, "You idiot." My husband
Yeah, no
just,
kidding.
you know, and I just like, "Just get out of here."
Yeah, yeah.
So as soon as he left, the service started. I sat down. A motorcycle went by, and right when the motorcycle went by, my husband rode a Harley. Right when the motorcycle went by, those flowers were like someone kicked them, and they went flying across the room, and I heard my husband's voice for the first time. He said, "I still don't like him."
Wow.
I was like, oh, my God.
Wow. Wow. Well, honey, it isn't that he necessarily remained earthbound, but what happens is after we die, usually our soul moves on to the other side within, 24 hours, and then we rest on the other side for 2-3 days, and then we usually come back and attend our own funeral. And, sometimes people are really, if they've been sick for a long time and their soul's energy is really depleted, they may not make it back for their funeral, but they can always view it later.
No, I think he was there.
Honey, I totally believe you. Oh, my gosh. I think every funeral I have ever been at, I see the soul of the person that died. Yep.
And I do believe that he has extra angels around me.
Okay.
Because I had someone trying to break into my house through the basement, and there was a basement window that I had to crawl into a citron. Do you know what a citron is?
No.
Back before they had wells, they used to build a square section in the bottom of the house that would gather the water.
Oh.
And this, I had to crawl in there, and I'm only 5'4", and it was all moldy looking and that. To get in there to board this window up, and I'm claustrophobic.
Oh,
and
sounds horrible.
I can't do it. And my husband said, "Throw a milk crate in there so you make sure you can get on the milk crate to get back out." And I didn't even. So I threw a milk crate in there, and I just kept sitting on the stairs, and I had a stomach ache, and I kept going, I'm scared. Please, angels, help me do this. And then all of a sudden this calm came over me.
Oh.
I had a smell of flowers, like I was at the funeral home, and all I could smell was flowers.
Oh.
And I got in there. I wasn't claustrophobic. I wasn't scared. I boarded that window up, and I got out of there. And all the while I was in there, all I could smell were them flowers.
Oh, I love it. That's a great story.
So the angels were here then, weren't they?
Oh, yeah, for sure. If we ask, they'll come right away. Mm-hmm. They just don't interfere. They don't, because not everybody believes in angels, so they don't run to everybody's rescue. They wait. They wait to be called on, and as soon as they are, then they come and help us. It's really nice.
Have you ever heard the saying, when feathers appear, angels are near?
Yeah, I have.
I have feathers that appear all around my house all the time.
Do you? Okay. Yep.
My dog right now, she's got uterine cancer, and she's dying.
Oh, geez.
And I had to take her. I was going to take her in and put her down last Monday, and I got a body bag for her from my friend that works at the morgue. And I put the body bag in the truck, and I was very upset, and I put her in, and I was crying on the way there and asking my husband to be with us, and, and I was like, oh, I don't think I can do this. Yeah. And I kept telling him to be with us. Well, my email is Doc. That was my husband's nickname.
Okay.
So I get into the veterinarian clinic, and the guy sitting next to me, his dog was really jumping around and being all antsy, and I said, he's pretty young, what's his name? And he looks at me and he says, his name's Doc.
Oh, man.
And I was like, oh, my God.
Oh, my.
And then the lady came out and called him. Who gives their dog two names? That dog had my last name.
No way.
I kid you not. And I about fell off my chair. I
was
like,
gosh.
if that wasn't a sign, then I was like, oh my God. And I was like, and I called that morning and said, I didn't have a pre-arranged appointment. I called that morning and said, I think I need to bring her in. And he told me, he said, well, let's try these meds, and if they don't work, then you will have to put her down, which I'm trying them now.
Okay.
But today, when I opened my truck door, there was a feather on the seat, and there was a feather on the ground right by the door.
Oh, man, that is such a great story. Oh, man. And how's she doing? She's
going
good?
back and forth.
Okay.
But the thing is, she's hemorrhaging her vaginal area out. So
oh, my God. That's terrible.
Like her intestines are coming out her vaginal area.
Oh, that sounds terrible.
It is terrible. And we have been dealing with this for almost 2 years now, and he's made her get along this far, but the medicines aren't working now.
Okay.
And she knows.
Okay.
She knows. And here's another thing. I'm very, very connected to birds, and I've been having a female cardinal come to my living room window and just stare at us, and she pecks on the window. So I looked it up yesterday. What does it mean?
Yeah.
Female cardinals are a messenger from God, and it means a death.
Oh, really? Oh,
yes.
Interesting.
And it could mean a death in 3 different ways. It could mean either someone is going to die.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you are going to die.
Yeah.
Or it could mean the death to an old life and the beginning to a new.
Yep.
But I believe it has to do with her. Because my husband, when I saw the feather the other day, I said, are you trying to tell me something? And he just said, we're waiting for her.
Yeah, honey, because my first thought is that, oh, my gosh, he'll be right there and take her on to heaven, and then she'll be with him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, oh, gosh, and then she won't have any of this. Oh, that'll be so nice for her. Yeah,
well,
for him or her.
That's what I've been telling her. I think she knows that the time is short, and she just lays on me and holds on me all the time.
Okay.
And I just keep telling her, you're going to be the lucky one.
Yeah.
You're going home.
Yeah. That's right.
And I had a personal protection dog that died 2 years ago. Well, that was when I went and got the other Doberman. Okay. And when he died, she took it very, very hard.
Aww.
And she would go out there and lay by his grave. And one day we were sitting out there, I was drinking coffee, and she sat up and she started looking like she saw him running across the corner of my property.
My gosh, I love it.
And I was like, she can see him. And I've been telling her the last few days, you're going to be able to run with Evo again.
Oh, that is so nice.
And when I said that to her, my husband spoke to me. He said, your brother takes care of Evo.
Oh.
And my brother was alive when Evo was here, and my brother loved Evo very much. He was a shepherd.
Good.
And that's what my husband said. Your brother takes care of Evo, and they will be waiting for her.
Oh, that's a great story. I love it. That's wonderful.
Yeah, and my brother was always bragging about my dogs. Because my grandmother had 5 dogs, and I live in an old farmhouse, and my grandmother did. And whenever my brother would come over here, he'd say, you remind me so much of Grandma.
Oh.
And I feel like a grandma, too.
Do you? Okay. Yep.
So,
well, I'm excited for your dog. Really, it's a brand new beginning.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be good.
I was kind of hurt about, losing her, but I don't want to see her suffer. And he says she's too old for surgery, and the fact that she sits down and that's hanging out of her, it keeps getting dirt on it, keeps getting infected. It's just a vicious circle.
Honey, that sounds awful.
It is.
Oh, man.
It is. But about 4 months ago, she was bleeding profusely. Everywhere. I tried diapers on her, and I put up with it. I washed everything, mopped everything, and prayed and prayed and prayed, and God just stopped the bleeding.
Oh, good. Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that.
Well, it was in the wintertime, and I was like, Lord, I bury all the animals here on the farm, and I didn't want to not bury her here on the farm.
Yeah, yeah.
I do believe that he stopped the bleeding and made it so she could make it to spring to be buried here.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Good.
And I'm grateful for that. Very grateful. I'm grateful for the life that she's had with me.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, even though they're just dogs, it's still part of your family. It's like, you know, it's like I'm losing a child.
Yeah, that's right, sweetie. There's no such thing as just dogs or just cats. I mean, they are as much like us as people.
You
they
know,
really
they
are.
Understand every word I say, Echo.
Oh, honey, I believe you. I totally get it. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know, I think their soul is just as important as ours.
Yeah, I do too. Mm-hmm.
So were there animals on the other side when you went to the other side?
Oh, they were everywhere. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. There's oh yes. Oh yes, all of our animals are there. It's great. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's very comforting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, one of the things I wanted to ask you about is children.
Okay.
Why do children die as infants, and why do they do that? Why do they come here for such a short time?
You know, honey, sometimes they're a very, very old soul, and they just have just a little bit of karma left to finish up, and so they come in. And also their death has a major impact on their family, and so it could be to bring the family closer together or help the parents heal issues that they have that they've never healed before. You know, it's very well organized on the other side, and that's, you know, one thing I talk about in my book, What Happens When We Die, is that we all assume when we give birth to a child that we're going to have that child for the rest of our life, but we have to realize that that is just not the truth. We can't ever assume that we're going to have anybody in our life for the rest of our life, and children are definitely included in that. They just come in for a short period of time, and you know, for some kids that are like kidnapped or murdered, they actually it may be in their life plan that they want their death to have a major impact on society, on their family, so that people will maybe change things, you know what I mean? It's like laws can change because children die. A lot of children's deaths change things, whereas adult deaths we don't react to so negatively. And for that reason alone, a soul might choose to come in, be a 4-year-old or a 6-year-old, and then pass away, and that death could have a great impact on a lot of people. Yeah.
Another thing I wanted to ask you was, I had watched a video where someone said they had a near-death experience and went to heaven, and that the angels showed them a library of body parts. And he asked the angel, "What is this?" And they said, "This is gifts from the Lord that people did not receive because they didn't accept it."
What?
What he said? He said, like, in order, like a healing, like if they needed a new arm or a leg or a healing in their arm and their leg, that they did not ask or receive it. That's what the angel told him.
Oh, honey, I have never heard of anything like that. So I really can't even make a comment. Yikes.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of strange because, because my leg's been screwed up for a long time and I've been asking for healing, and I'm like, well, can't he just go in that archive and give me?
Really? Yeah, no kidding. Yeah,
and
gosh, I have never heard
I
of.
accepted,
Yeah, honey, body parts in heaven? That doesn't even make sense to me.
That's what that was in a video where someone said they had a near-death experience and that they saw this.
Wow.
It was like a library, he said, a library of body parts.
Okay. No, that one I can't comment on.
Well, I find it interesting about the hospital thing, and I'll tell you why I find that interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I had a friend, have you ever heard of Camp Chesterfield?
Camp Chesterfield?
Chesterfield.
No.
Look it up. It's in Indiana.
Okay.
Just Google Camp Chesterfield. It is it's a compound of all clairvoyant and healers. They all live in little cottages.
Okay.
And they have a church there, and they have a park, and they have a bookstore, and it's a beautiful place. And I had gone down there with my husband and got a reading, and I took a few of my girlfriends a few times down there, and I'm very, very connected to this place.
Okay.
And I had sent some girls that worked with me at Lionel down there, and the girl came back and she said, I just can't thank you enough. She said, my sister-in-law had her husband die, and we took her along, my mother and my aunt, and we all went to different cottages just so no one knew our stories. And each one of them were told the same thing by every different woman there, that this girl who had lost her husband, he could not completely go on farther because she wouldn't let him go, and that he was in a hospital bed comforted by deceased relatives, but because she wouldn't let him go and she kept wanting to hang on to him and couldn't get over the loss, he couldn't go on. And they were each one of them were told that by different clairvoyants. And so she healed after they left there. She healed. And then they went to church that night, and her mother was called on in the church. And they won't tell you if something bad's going to happen. It's against their beliefs. But she asked her if she had a sister, and she said, yes, I don't talk to her anymore. She said, well, I can't tell you what's going on, but you need to call your sister. She needs you. And she said, well, that'll never happen. And she said, well, you have to get past the hate and bring in the love and forgiveness, but you need to call your sister. So her mother went on and on. It's a 5-hour drive that she would never call her, no way, all the way home. I'm not calling her. She won't we're arguing, have been for 10 years. Finally, that next morning, she got up and called her sister. She was dying of cancer.
Oh, boy.
And they made up, and she helped her for the last month of her life.
Oh, God. Isn't that something? That's a great story.
And
wow.
she was like in tears. She was like, you healed my family. You healed my mother and my aunt, and they just held each other, and and I was like, whoa, that it's just unreal.
Yeah.
Unreal.
Oh, man. That's a great story. Another one. Another great story. I
You
love
really
it.
have to look up Camp Chesterfield. It's on the internet. They've been there since, I think 1812.
Wow,
It goes
okay.
into the whole history of it.
Okay.
And it's a phenomenal place.
Wow, okay. Yeah, no, I've never heard of it. I've heard of Lilydale and Casadega, but I've never heard of Camp Chesterfield, so that's really cool.
It's in Chesterfield, Indiana.
Okay. All right.
And I'll tell you another one. I went down there with my girlfriends. We got lost, and we got there late, and everyone said, you go first because, we're all upset for being late. So I went in, and she said, I can't read you. And I said, what? And she said, your husband's very upset right now. And she said, and he's blocking me from reading you.
You're kidding.
I said, you've got to be kidding me. She goes, no, go in my house and call him. She said, you got to call him. So I went in her house, and I called him, and I said, he started yelling at me, where have you been? I thought you were in an accident. I've been pacing the floor down here. Blah, blah, blah. And I said, I just got lost, and I forgot to call you. And he said, well, as long as I know you're okay. So then I went back in, and I told her he's calmed down now. He knows I'm okay. She says, yeah, I know. Oh, she says, I've never had that happen before. And she says, do you know that he is your soulmate and that for him to do that, he has a very strong connection with you?
Wow. That is really something. I think that's another great story.
I know he has a strong connection. He has saved my life, Echo. I was riding my motorcycle one day, and I heard him tell me, I was going 78 miles an hour, and he told me, he says, you back out of it right now. And I was like, what? He goes, back out of it now. And I slowed down, and the car in front of me had a car in front of it, and it turned in front of the oncoming traffic, and the guy went in the wrong lane and hit her head on, and his bumper went over her car and just missed my head.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
And I was like, whoa. If I wouldn't have backed out of it, I would have been decapitated by that bumper.
Oh, my God, girl. What a story. Oh, my God.
So, for the life of me, and these people know these stories. I don't understand why they would think something like that would be a demon.
Honey, it's not a demon. It's just their beliefs, very narrow beliefs. It's not. Don't even give them any power. They don't understand.
I don't think it's I'm giving them power. I'm so hurt because I've said these stories for many years, and they kept their mouth shut, and then all of a sudden they just turned on me like a bunch of wild dogs and said, I never liked it when you talked about him anyways. I always felt uncomfortable, and I don't believe it's him. I think you got a demon attached to you, and the reason you got all these terrible things that are happening to you is because of that demon.
Oh, man, how unfortunate. Well,
and I'm like, whoa. And I'm talking about a good friend, a very close person.
I understand. Yeah, I understand. Well, that's their limited thinking, and that's really, really unfortunate. But they have no right to say that to you because you know that it's your husband. They're basically calling you crazy, and who gives them that right? So,
and I have had. Well, I get like what you get. I just hear the voice, and when my brother was alive, he'd say, ask him the winning lottery numbers. I go, it doesn't work like that.
Right.
I said, I'm not sitting over here rubbing a little lamp going, talk to me. I said, I'll just be doing something, and I'll hear him say something.
Yep, that's right. Yep.
That's how it works. I don't sit here and do like I'm sending a little note or something. Once in a while I'll like I was working on the lawnmower and I couldn't get the blade loose and I couldn't get the bolt to loose and I'm like, what am I doing wrong? And my husband said, get a longer bar. And I went and got a longer bar and it broke loose.
Oh, good. Okay.
So
none of that's negative.
He watches.
Yeah, honey, that's not negative stuff. No.
No, I don't know. I wish people would not be so closed-minded, I guess.
Right. Yeah. Well, they are. They just are. They've been taught a certain way, and they're afraid to ask questions or go outside of a box, and so they just stay there, and they get real judgmental of other people.
Why do you think that they think? Do you think it's a form of control to control people's spiritual walk?
Yeah, I do. I mean, people should be encouraged to, develop their own relationship with God, and they should. They have to. I can't really say.
Well, Echo, I've been out here for 14 years on the Internet, and I do shows about everything. I do, on Wednesday nights, I do a show with Reiki Master Mike Goldberg, and we teach holistic healing. And I take phone calls from people that are traumatized and targeted and try to help them. Good. And for the life of me, I just try, I used to be a very, very angry person because I had an abused childhood. I had abused 11 years of my first marriage, beat by my husband, and practically murdered by him several times. And I was a very angry person. Okay. And I'm not like that at all anymore. I have learned that the only thing that matters is that we help and love one another. It's like I did a complete 180. As far as how I am, even though I do get targeted. I mean, last week's show was with Kevin and Annette about the children that are murdered by the Catholic Church. Oh. And whenever I do a show with him, I get a lot of harassment and targeting. And even though that goes on in my life, I don't have an anger towards it anymore. I don't think it matters.
Yeah, okay.
So the only thing I think that matters to me right now is that I want to learn what I was supposed to learn when I came here, what I came here for.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and that's the only thing that matters. People think, well, we got to have the best house, and my kids got to do the best in school, or I got to be better than this guy. And none of that really even impresses on me.
Yeah, I understand. I do.
So, PMH had said something about we know what we're going to go through before we come here. We do like a life review or contract.
Yeah.
And then we forget it all.
Yeah, we do.
Is that true?
Yeah, honey, we do. We forget it. Our soul remembers, but our conscious mind is not privy to that information. Like a lot of times people that I work with that come for healing and they're in the process of dying, but the soul always says, please don't tell my mind, my conscious mind, that I'm dying, because there's a lot that I still want to get done before I'm gone. And so our soul knows about things that we are not conscious of. Yeah.
Okay, we have a caller that would like to ask you a question. Are you up for a question?
Oh, you mean, yeah, not a psychic question, but yeah, I'm up for, let's see what their question is.
Okay.
Okay.
Welcome to the call, California. You have a question for Echo?
No, not really. I was just listening. This is Matt.
Oh, hi, Matt. Okay, I thought you raised your hand, so, okay, you came in a little late, so you have to listen to the recording.
Okay, so the question, I can't have a question, but is it directed towards the topic of, clairvoyancy? Or, okay. Yeah, I do have maybe a statement or possibly a question, because I was, the last year and a half, because I was raised too in the fundamental world of the church and stuff, I've been doing my own research and historical stuff and a lot of other things that disproves what the traditional Constantine church teaches. And from that, I've lost a lot of people from the church that I used to know. And it's very sad, because they say the same thing, like, oh, you have a demon or something, because I have two angels that are constantly around me. Like constantly around me. Good. Because one of my friends, when I was in high school, he actually seen it too. He's like, what? He's like, what is that? I mean, I don't see him like I see, you or Badbaby, but I see the sparkle and the shadow, and it's not just the reflection of the sun or light, but I could actually see them. They're always with me, and I think for me, it's been since my grandma died, because we were really close.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know much about, I know, the general rule of angels, but I don't know, too much about, family members or something being with you or anything. Could you explain maybe just a little bit on that, maybe, or something like that? If you don't mind. If you do, it's okay then.
Well, honey, I'm not exactly sure when you say what I explain about. You mentioned your grandma and then asked if I would explain. Could you explain a little bit more clearly to me what you're wondering?
I'm just wondering then, are those angels spoken like in the Bible, or is those the people around us? Are they just actual people that died that are close to us, like our loved ones? For example,
it's kind of a combination of both. We have angels that can be around us, and we have our deceased loved ones. Now, our deceased loved ones, once they die, they go on to the other side and they start a life over there. So they're not going to be with us every day, but they will check in from time to time, see how we're doing. But the ones that are watching over us are the angels and the spirit guides, and they are friends of our soul. So even though we don't consciously see them, our soul sees them all the time. Okay.
Yeah, because I could see their silhouettes constantly.
Okay. Yeah. Mhm.
So, and I had one person, my friend from school, seen him too. So he was like, oh man.
Yep.
So,
Mhm.
yeah. So yeah, I haven't really had too many bad traumas,
Good.
growing up or anything. So
Good.
I was just wondering about that because I started constantly seeing them, like physically, like the silhouette since like 1996, and now it's 2016.
Mhm.
I was just wondering maybe why I didn't see it before that year, maybe too.
Honey, sometimes we aren't opened up psychically when we're going through our own growth periods, and when we're not supposed to be distracted by things outside of ourselves. And then when the guides feel like we are ready, that we can handle, knowing that they're there or seeing them, that's when they start appearing. It doesn't mean that they're not there all along, but it's just that when we do start seeing them or feeling them, we're finally at a place in our life where we can handle it.
Okay.
Okay.
Echo, can you explain to us the difference of the gifts that we get? Like, I know there's clairvoyant.
Yeah, honey. Yeah, clairvoyance is the most commonly talked about psychic development, and that is the gift of seeing, which means that we get visions or pictures in our mind. And clairaudience is the second most well-known psychic ability, and that is called the gift of hearing. And just like with that angel on the other side, when spirit communicates to us, they don't necessarily speak with a voice. They send thoughts to us. And our job, if we have clairvoyance, our job is, or clairaudience, is to learn how to discern the difference between our thoughts and the thoughts coming into us from outside, from our spirit guides, from guardian angels and deceased loved ones. The next one is called clairsentience, and that is the gift of sensing, where you walk into a room and you just sense the energy of the room, you sense the mood of the people. When we're around people, we sense things about them. So that's the gift of clairsentience. And then the other one, which is kind of a goofy one, is called clairgustance, which is the gift of smell. And where that shows up is maybe your dad wore Old Spice cologne, and when he comes to visit, you smell the Old Spice. Or let's say you're driving to work, and all of a sudden you smell, something, oh my, that smells like my hot rollers at home. And then you realize, oh my gosh, I forgot to unplug the hot rollers. Okay, so we get our information in the form of smells. Okay, so we have clairvoyance, which is seeing. We get pictures, clairaudience, which is hearing, clairsentience, which is sensing, and clairgustance, which is smelling. And then we have intuition, which is different from that, and that is that still small voice in our gut. Okay, so that's a whole different deal.
Mm-hmm.
Intuition. Okay?
Also, I've heard that your loved ones, when they pass over, they have the ability to use electronics, and I experienced that with my husband on the anniversary of his, we got married on his birthday.
Okay.
That was our wedding anniversary, and everybody said, why would you get married on your birthday? And he told everybody, I'm not stupid. Who forgets their own birthday?
Right.
He said, I'm not going to get hit in the head with a rolling pin for forgetting my anniversary.
Yep. Amen. Yep.
So it was the first anniversary that he had died in April, and our anniversary was in August. And he always gave me roses, and I was up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I was missing them terribly. And I said to him, you're never going to be able to give me roses again. And my jukebox kicked on. There's over 1,000 songs in there, and I didn't even know this song was in there. I never heard it before, ever. And it spun around, the disc dropped, and the song that played was called Sending You Roses.
Oh, my gosh. That's a great story.
I was like, oh, my God.
Oh,
and I got up and I ran and looked, and I was like, I didn't even know that song was in there. It was on an old country disc that I had in there that had like 18 songs on it. Never heard the song before in my life. Never.
That's amazing. That's just amazing. That's a great
story. I've had so many things where he has let me know it was him.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, the night before he died, he told me, I'm going to stay in this house and watch over you and make sure you're safe.
Okay, that's really cool. Mhm.
But yeah, he actually kicked that jukebox on.
They can manipulate energy. Now, some folks, when they first pass away, they don't know that. They have to learn how to manipulate energy. So for all of you that are listening and you're wondering, well, why doesn't my grandpa, play with the lights? Just give them some time. They have to learn how to manipulate energy. And once they learn, it gets easier for them. I have one of my students, he tells us this story about every year at Christmas, all of his kids and his family's there, and his mom gave him a stereo when he was a kid, and he's still kept that stereo. He's had it all these years, and every Christmas, even though it is unplugged, every Christmas when they are all sitting around the dinner table, a song starts playing on that stereo, and
Wow.
they know that it's his mom.
Wow.
And he says every time we go and we look, and nope, it's unplugged and it's still playing. So,
I'll tell you another thing that happened. I ended up having to spread my husband's ashes because somebody broke into my house and took my husband's ashes and threw them all over.
Oh, my gosh.
And it very, very traumatized me. I gathered them all. He threw them all over the dresser top. And I put him back in, and I was holding on to his ashes one night, and I said, I'm going to take you down to the river and throw your ashes in the river because no one will ever violate you again like this.
Yeah.
And I set his ashes up on the desk, and my dog was sitting next to me in my rocking chair, and he was looking above the ashes, and he started growling.
Oh.
And I heard my husband say, it's just me, boy. And he put his ears down and he laid down. It was perfectly fine then.
Oh, isn't that something?
So he must have seen my husband's spirit.
Yep, for sure. Yep. Oh, yeah. Animals.
And I was like,
definitely.
whoa, okay.
Yep. That's
then that's what I'm talking about, the harassment that I go through. My husband knew about this before he died. He woke up in the middle of the night and started telling me things that were going to happen, and everything he told me has happened to me.
Wow. He sounds like he was very psychic.
Well, he was able to stop her from reading me.
Wow.
And I always did feel that we were had a soul connection. I always knew when there was something wrong with him, and he could read me like a book.
Wow.
If I was sad or was upset about something, I could just act like nothing was wrong, but he would look right at me and say, all right, you going to tell me what's going on?
Wow.
And that's a connection with your vibes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, that's another great story. You got a lot of them, girl.
Well, I feel like I have a lot of spiritual connection, and I want to enhance it. I don't want to dehance it.
Right. Yep. Maybe you need to write a book about all these really cool experiences you have and about, what it's like to have these abilities and this connection with your husband, and then have the friends that you do that think this is all so negative, and just talk about it in the book, because there's a lot of people out there that go through the same kind of negativity, and maybe you could write a book about how to deal with it. I think that would be really helpful.
I started writing a book about it, but then I ended up getting into these shows, and my book kind of went on the back burner. I was calling the book Holding Doc's Hand.
Okay.
And I was telling the stories. In fact, he told me a month before my brother died that my brother was coming home.
Oh.
I was sitting at the kitchen table. He came to me and he said, I got to tell you, but your brother's coming with us soon.
Okay.
And I was like, no, because he was the only one that would help take care of me out here.
Oh.
And I just said, no, it's not happening. But I wrote it down in my notes because, anytime he would tell me something, I'd jot it down to see if it came true.
Okay, yeah.
And 30 days later, I was riding my motorcycle over to my brother's house, and my husband told me I had to go back and visit my brother. And there was this 100-mile yard sale going around the lake. And here I am on a motorcycle, and these people are pulling in and out, and I said, I can't turn around. These people are going to hit me. And he said, no, go down to the party store, turn around in the parking lot, and come back out. You have to go there. So I went, and my brother wasn't home. And I was like, why is he telling me to come here? He's not home.
Yeah.
So I turned around and started leaving, and I'm going down the main road, and I passed my brother.
Oh, okay.
And my husband says, there he is, you got to go back. So I turned around again, and I went back, and usually any time I see my brother, he did his own business. He did a new house cleanup, and he'd always have the crew with him or his girlfriend. I've never seen him alone. I pull in, he's alone.
Okay.
And it was strange. I said, I knew I was going to see you today. He goes, you did? He said, have you had lunch? I said, no. So I went in, he made me lunch. We sat and visited, and we started talking about my book. And he kept telling me, finish the book, finish the book.
Okay.
And then we were talking about communicating. And he said, well, I'll tell you what, if I die, I'll communicate with you, and if you die, you communicate with me. I said, okay.
Yeah.
At 10 a.m., I get a phone call. It's his girlfriend. He died.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Yeah, you really should write that book.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, my God, that's why my husband wanted me to go back. That was my last time to be with him, and it was meant to be alone.
Yeah, yep.
So I took his son to the hospital to see his body and then to around a bunch of funeral homes, and by the time I got home, it was 1 o'clock in the morning, and he was supposed to come up. I had just had the pond dug out, and he was going to come up and see how beautiful it looked, and the moon was shining on the water. It was a full moon, and I looked over, and I said, it was so beautiful. I was locking my truck up in the barn, and I turned around, and I said, you never got to see it. And he spoke to me.
Okay.
He said, I can see it from here.
Oh, good, good.
And he said to me, thanks for taking care of the boy today, his son.
Good, good.
And I was like, oh, my God, you're talking to me too.
Hey, I think it's great. I do. I think it's great.
But, Echo, I had no idea when I was doing it. I was so scared of turning around with all these crazy people. And, and I'm 62 years old, I'm not no spring chicken. And here I am on this big motorcycle worrying about everyone running me down. Yeah. And I just knew I had to go back, and I did. And I'm so glad I did because I got to spend an hour with him.
Yep, I'm really glad you did, too. Wow. I bet he is, too.
Well,
oh, man, yeah.
Our gifts, do we?
Yep.
And I just didn't believe my husband when he told me he was going to be coming home with them. I just
honey, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. I totally get it.
Well, you say you got students that have classes.
Yeah.
Since you spent time with me tonight, I would be more than willing to talk to your students if you want to have me come in on the phone one day.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah, I have as a matter of fact, I'm thinking of Sandy. I think that you'd find her really fascinating. She has studied with me for a few years, and she also studied with James Van Praagh and with Thomas John, and I think you'd love her. Yeah. Mhm.
Well, I kept you longer than you wanted to stay tonight.
Well, it's okay, honey, but my energies, I can definitely feel it waning. So.
Okay, well, we won't make you stay up too late. I just wanted to ask you one other question.
Okay.
Do you feel, as far as your spirit and my spirit, Do you feel a positive energy from me?
Definitely. Yeah. Mhm.
Well, I try to be positive, and I try to be as loving as I can. And all my friends on Facebook, they all tell me that I give nothing but love to everybody, and that's what I want.
Good. That's really good.
Well, we won't keep you any longer, Echo. I'm so glad that you came on. Maybe we can have you come back one night. But I will email you a copy of the recording.
Wonderful.
And I will send you my phone number. And if you ever want me to, come in and share some of my stories with some of your group, I would be more than glad to.
Okay, sweetie. That sounds great.
Thank you so much, honey, and God bless.
Thank you for tonight. You take good care of yourself, and you take care of that puppy.
Oh, I will. We'll let her ascend to the other side with peace and love.
Sounds good, honey. Sounds good.
And I love you too.
I love you too, sweetie. Thank you.
And Echo, I just love your name.
Oh, thank you. You know what? My mom
that is so
grew
unique.
up a girl
I
named
heard your video where you said you didn't like your name because it made fun of you.
Yeah. When I was little, I didn't like. I got a chuckle out of that because I got made fun of because of my name, and it was in a nasty, dirty way. But I'll explain that to you when we're not on the air. Okay. Okay,
and
gotcha.
So I know how cruel children can be.
Yes, I know.
But you know what? I never liked my middle name, and now I love my middle name.
Oh, good.
So, it's weird how we accept things later on in life. I just think you have a beautiful name.
Thank you.
I really do.
Thank you.
And I'm so glad that God has blessed me for our paths to cross.
Well, thank you. That's very nice of you to say.
I think it's an honor to have you on the show, and I just feel so connected to you, especially listening to your lectures and all your recordings today, and I thought, I know me and her are going to connect.
Yep, we did.
All right, sweetie. Well, we'll let you go and get some rest, and again, we want to thank you for coming out and spending your time and your knowledge with us.
You're very welcome. Thank you. Thank you.
God bless you.
Night, sweetie. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, everybody, I want to thank you all for joining us tonight. I hope that you learned something a little bit about the other side. I have no idea what I'm going to be doing next week. Matt that was on earlier, he is a targeted individual, so we talked a little bit earlier about possibly doing a show next Friday about targeting. So if I don't have someone booked, we'll be out here and we'll talk a little bit about targeting. Maybe I can help you out with some of my old methods of shielding and how to keep yourself safe and protective.